bitches know of my abiding boner for Battletech, stretching back to my earliest top 10 videos, to my introductory offering on the setting, games, and lore, and of course, to my many mech warrior streams, the lo-fi futurism, the galactic Game of Thrones, which predates the book series in question, by the way, the bipedal Battletechs SRMing each other into sizzling shitlets. The Battletech series is far and away my favorite sci-fi setting. But there's a catch the size of an atlas these days. I could hem and haw, discuss omnipresent ownership and licensing issues, the steady encroachment of cultural Marxism in every corner of the tabletop gaming space, Battletech now depressingly included, but the substance can be summarized as follows. FASA Studios created Battletech. FASA Studios died screaming and got gobbled up by Microsoft and Tops. Catalyst Game Labs are the current licensees of Battletech, and Catalyst Game Labs are cunts! Okay, alright, that's not fair. Cunts actually bring people pleasure. Catalyst Game Labs, upon receiving the Battletech license several years ago, first imbibed in mediocrity, endlessly beset by production shortages and inconsistent fucking fiction, something they still suffer in spades, might I add, before finally bucking to the Bolsheviks and firing Blaine Pardoe, inarguably their most consistent writer, not to mention one of the formative figures in the franchise as a whole. But we've been there, done that, boofed the Blue Hair Brigade until they finally shut the pan-fried fuck up about it all, and the original instigating figure admitted he'd lied all along. You see, Faith McCloskey was in fact a mentally disturbed dude who only kicked up a shit stink about Blaine Pardoe daring to be a conservative to get their balls-awful fan fiction before the public, a dastardly deed Catalyst elected to punish by fucking publishing them. That'll show them, shit dicks! No apology was ever forthcoming, not for Pardoe, not for any of their conservative readership, and while they fired Blaine for being too political, they were all too giddy to continue employing open and avowed commies. Never mind their Battletech Pride productions, which they produced to the delight of the -5 fucking fans who are actually idiotic enough to ascribe a gender to a 5-story tall walking fucking fortress, and to the utter indifference of anyone who actually plays the fucking game. Look, it's done and dusted. Consult my Gatekeep, the Gatekeepers rant, not to mention my full interview with Blaine Pardoe for more detailed elucidation on the SJW's dilation. Because here's the thing. Catalyst not only aren't Battletech, they don't even own Battletech. We do, bitch. The fans, you know, the ones who actually play it on occasion, rather than producing nothing apart from avatars featuring a rifleman and a rainbow fucking flag. Whether it's the few, the proud man-titty Gen X graybeards who've been rocking a Battlemaster since Battle Droids, or people like me who jumped in on Mech Warrior 2, the cartoon, and multiplayer Battletech back in the 90s. Catalysts come and go. Real, lifelong Mech Warriors will still be keeping cool in the cockpit long after they've been bought by the also embattled Wizards of the Toast. We've lived through the Dark Age and the death of FASA, and we'll outlast a few leering Leninists who spend more time behaving like locusts than piloting them. And here's the thing. The Reddit-humping sig-Marxists and tanky tourists picked about the worst franchise on the fucking planet to proselytize through. Because while Warhammer and Games Workshop make jolly damn certain you can't keep up with the Chaos Army unless you buy all the latest and greatest, Battletech has been going strong for 4 decades, and only a microscopic fucking fraction of it was produced by Catalyst. And almost all of what actually was is all but agreed to be innately fucking inferior to what FASA fired out in the 80s, 90s, and early aughts. Catalyst will trumpet their Kickstarter numbers, some of which are dwarfed by Iron Age comic projects like mine, might I add, as evidence that the franchise has never been healthier. But truth is, a storied franchise like Battletech being blundered so hard it even has to resort to crowdfunding is pathetic in the extreme. But trading on nostalgia almost always pays the freight, and with campaign names like Clan Invasion and Mercenaries, oh you bold motherfuckers. If these assholes were hedging their bets any harder, they'd have the blackjack dealer on fucking payroll. Catalyst can play the catamite to all these collectivists, shit on a few fans, and still pay the light bill for a bit. But can they afford to lose too many mech warriors who are paying hundreds or upward of 1,000 every year and still cruise on Kickstarter cash? Yeah, press X to goddamn doubt. After spending more than I care to admit every year on Catalyst's new crop of products, I've curtailed all of my support for the company since, and Battletech is the ideal property for this approach. So if you want to play Battletech without paying these pricks, this video is for you. Step 0. You need a place to buy Battletech. And if you intend to avoid funding these fuckheads, that means it's time to set your sights on the secondary market. The obvious answer is eBay, but there's no shortage of other venues. I, for example, enjoy Alibris.com. Think of it as a used yellow paperback bookstore on the internet. The prices are often more competitive than eBay, and they have just about everything, source books included, which brings us to step 1. Buying a Battletech source book. Now, Battletech, the tabletop game, should not be confused with MechWarrior, the tabletop RPG, which can in turn be plugged into Battletech, the tabletop game, indescribably enriching the role-playing experience in the process. But for both, I recommend the Battletech Compendium. Folks, first published in the early 90s following the clan invasion, it is a streamlined, one-stop shop explaining exactly how to play the tabletop game with the notable absence of the all-too-infamous Battletech rule bloat. Look, this series has been around since '84. Take a look at anyone who's been alive that long, and I guarantee their belt ain't any closer to their spine than it was in the '80s. And like said waistline, tabletop games tend to expand as time progresses, with the unfortunate side effect of confounding new players and discouraging their involvement. Every edition of the Battletech Compendium helpfully simplifies this process, and it is profoundly recommended. Now, an alternative and slightly cushier option is to procure on eBay or elsewhere one of the earlier editions of the Battletech box set. A few versions were produced. Some have paper models and others have pewter or plastic, but the one I'd recommend is actually from immediately after Catalyst's acquisition. The long out of print anniversary box set I hold in my hands, all but impossible to find for a minute. Now that Catalyst have launched a new line of inferior box sets, these have dropped drastically in price, with much more mechs, better quality cardboard hex maps, and all the bells and bullshit you could ask for. These absolutely obliterate Catalyst's limp-dicked reboot box sets, and honestly, everyone ought to have one, which brings me to step 2, a play space. Now, even without the anniversary box, Catalyst sell a fair few hex mats, and honestly, they suck dick long before their owners started sucking off socialist ones. And as such, some of the best you can buy are actually from the 80s. The quality is much more sturdy, the artwork features proper paintings, and thanks to decades of interceding updates, it boasts more variety than the names tattooed on Kat Von D's impossibly flat ass. Failing that, the fan community, you know, the actual one, have been sharing their own map designs for fucking years. Many are downloadable from fan sites such as Sarna.net, or you could get them from somewhere that isn't moderated by retards, of which we have many alternatives. Look, the point is, do a goddamn Google search for Battletech map download, and you'll be treated to more hexes than a Wiccan divorce. Print that shit out and enjoy it. And for actual information on the game, I cannot recommend the following phone app hard enough. Mech Factory. Whether it's builds, a mech generator, or all the lore you could ask for and bordering on more than you can handle, it's essentially Sarna.net in your pocket without a bunch of obnoxious pinkos proselytizing from the blog section. You can certainly pick up every source book that isn't nailed down, and there's even a fair few I would recommend you do. But whatever you buy, the incredible, completely fucking free Mech Factory is a must. And finally, step 3, the stompy robots. And while in other games paying for overpriced plastic bullshit is a headache and a half, here it's so simple CNN fact checkers couldn't fuck it up. First and foremost, the aforementioned anniversary box has an untrammeled assload of bitchin' battle mechs of every shape and description ready to be painted and tabled. Catalyst prefers sniffin' paint to manufacturing it, by the way, so buy whatever pigment you like to trick out your 90-ton death machine, and you'll never once be in peril of rendering a profit to the Politburo. The anniversary mechs are of an admittedly older sculpt, though, so if your tastes run a mite more modern, you might consider picking up the new models, again, off the secondary market where they're readily available, not to mention reasonably priced. You might even buy them pre-painted and support a talented Battletech fan in the process. You've been warned, though, Catalyst's redesigns of the classic mechs run more hot and cold than a Sony microwave. From the gorgeous Gargoyle or Raven to the eye-poppingly bad Burn Victim Black Knight redesign. The thing about Battletech is that unlike Warhammer or the like, absolutely anything may be used in place of a mech. Hell, there were cardboard fucking cutouts in the original box set. Paper dolls, Barbies, and G.I. Joes, a slipper from fucking Monopoly, table legal, each and every one. Got a 3D printer? Go to town. It's your table, it's your rules. Just don't sell that fucking shit, or Tops will send armed dyspeptic ninjas to top shelf your toilet. My Mauler here, for example, is from the, secondary market. It was actually sculpted by an actual fan, though, and it fucking rules. Catalyst haven't even released a Mauler yet, so snooze you lose, you bitch-made Bolsheviks. Look, this franchise fucking rules, and it always will. I hate Catalyst like Catalyst hate my money, but Catalyst are a glorified fucking custodian, and one whose ineptitude is all but guaranteed to end in a buyout or bankruptcy proceeding in the not-too-distant future. So don't back off, Battletech. Backhand Catalyst. No guts, no goddamn galaxy. I'm RazörFist. God fucking speed.
This is the Sphere. Thousands of planets attacked my until a new enemy appeared. Mysterious invaders known as the Clan.